Welcome to another episode of the Trusted Advisor podcast and video series, as always, powered by the Retail Solutions Providers Association. Our goal on the pod is to accelerate the success of today's and tomorrow's leaders in the retail IT industry. I'm Jim Roddy, back with you again. Thank you so much for joining us. In this episode, we'll focus on the importance of a company culture that promotes personal growth with two RSPA members who were recently elected to the RSPA Board of Directors. Our first guest today is Lora Coggins, a channel sales executive at Toshiba Global Commerce Solutions. She's worked in the retail IT industry for over 35 years, starting in her family's electronic cash register business. In 2000, she joined Tech America in the support department before moving into sales leadership at Toshiba. Laura's been active on several RSPA committees, including marketing, the 75th anniversary working group, and the membership committee, which we have a call right after we record this podcast today. And she's attended RSPA events for nearly 20 years. Hey, Lora, always great to talk with you.
Hey, thank you for it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great to be here. And we'll keep each other on track from a timing standpoint to make sure we're not late for our meeting. Punctuality is something
Yeah,
we need to do.
I know.
And
I know the guy that runs that meeting. We'll be okay.
Our second guest is Travis Hare. He's the Director of Hospitality Solutions at ISV VAR Hybrid DCR Point of Sale Systems in Nashville. Travis joined DCR as a help desk agent in 2012. And just like Lora, he's been active in the RSPA, including as an education committee member, and he now serves as the board liaison to the RSPA Next Gen community. Hey, Travis, welcome to the pod.
Thank you so much for having me, Jim. I really appreciate it.
No, always a pleasure. Always enjoy talking to you guys one-on-one, and glad to do it here in this setting. So again, we're going to talk personal growth today. So I think it's important for our audience to understand your personal journey, because I think as a lot of folks know, right, you see somebody in a leadership position, you're like, man, they just fast track there. But the road is like rarely smooth and fast, and it's never easy. So I'm hoping each of you can share your stories about where you started and how you got to where you are today. Laura, if you can go first and kind of walk us down that path, we'd appreciate it.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So, like you mentioned, I started in a family business. We were selling electronic cash registers, and literally, I started right out of college. So, when my dad needed a secretary to fill in, I was that person, and my mom was like, "Don't do it." Um, so, I was a cash register secretary installer during the day and doing college at night, right? So, I did that for 14 years. And I actually had a representative from Tech America reach out to me and said, "Hey, you have so much potential. Not that I want to take you away from your family business, but you are a leader. And I think you should apply at Tech America." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." But sometimes you don't see the value in yourself, somebody else does. So it's important to express that value in people. So, you know, that year I did that application, I applied. Even the HR person at Tech America said this is going to be a little bit of a culture shock for you coming from a family business to corporate America, right? Where it was different, but I was so ready. I was welcomed. I was a team player. I'm inquisitive as well, right? I wanted to know more and more and more about this business. So, a few years later, we had that acquisition where we joined the RSS division and we became Toshiba Global Commerce Solutions. But I think really the important part is listening and just taking it in, being a sponge and asking questions. Sometimes I seem a little reserved. I might seem like I'm maybe not quite paying attention, but really what I'm doing is I'm taking it all in so I can ask questions, get the details about it, be that person that's a team player and support those people that are around me.
So two quick questions. Thank you for that. First, what was your parents' reaction when you're like, I'm applying for a job and I'm going to leave the family business? That seems like it wouldn't be easy.
It wasn't, but they were very proud of me. Starting out as, quote, the secretary of the business, I enjoyed being part of, the installations. So I started doing building cables and soldering in the back when they needed help. I started going out on installations. I actually started selling hardware. Through those 14 years, you take on many hats when you have a family business. I enjoyed talking. I enjoyed promoting our business, and that's really was my forte. So the more I learned about the backside of our business from the technical side, it really helped me to be able to talk about the hardware from a sales perspective as well. And I was encouraged. My mom was encouraging. My dad said, let's do it. And I did. And to this day, they are very proud of me. And my dad having a competitive background, he was very proud to wear that Toshiba golf hat that I would give him. So
Awesome. I love it. And if we ever start a soldering committee inside the RSPA, we know we'll reach out to you
yes.
for guidance. Travis, tell us about your path, how you got from where you were and to where you are today.
So I really wouldn't be here without a couple of people taking a chance on me. Um, so, like so many folks, I didn't really know what I wanted to do after college. I taught for a year and I didn't like it very much. So I wound up going back to school. Um, and this was, 08, 09, something like that. Back for computer information systems and graduated. Then there was not very many jobs at the point. I sent out a lot of resumes. It was almost a year to the day where I sent a resume to DCR before I got a call back to try to get a job. And I honestly didn't know what I was coming in for. But a guy that I knew from the position that I had before, and I worked maintenance at a bowling center. That's what I did beforehand. Trash, patching drywall, changing ballasts and light fixtures, things like that. Um, so he told me that I could do a lot more and be a lot better. So I got a job working help desk at Data, and my manager at the time, Andy Dickinson, who's also big time involved with the STS committee and some other committees in RSPA as well. He saw sort of the same thing. He said, "You can do a lot more than just be in the help desk," and he wanted to take me to a retail now because he thought I would get a lot out of it. I went to a retail now, and career went off from there. Um, since then, I've gone back to school again to get an MBA, and now I'm on the RSPA board, and things are good from where I was a decade ago. Um, Literally scrubbing toilets and doing maintenance to try to figure out what I wanted to be, sitting with 2 degrees, not doing very much with them, to now where I have a career. I'm a very blessed person.
Yeah. No, those are both great stories. I really like that, and we're gonna tie in and get some more of the personal stories as well. But I also want to blend it in with the company culture. And so, Laura, if you can talk about your role at the company and share, so folks who aren't familiar with Toshiba, like how big is it, where do they fit in the channel, and then describe as much detail as you can, like the company culture. If Laura can go first, and then Travis, Laura, talk about Toshiba and its company culture.
Yes. So, we are a Japanese owned company. When I started in the business at Tech America in Atlanta, I actually started in the support center. And I can honestly say about every 2 years, I was promoted within the company. So I went from support to a product manager to a channel rep to a direct seller for Family Dollar, supporting them for 8 years, to business development. And I think I really had a unique perspective coming from a family business and that cash register world to corporate America. Toshiba is 72 years old now, Toshiba Tech Corporation. Toshiba Global Commerce Solutions, where I'm sitting right now in Raleigh, North Carolina, is only 10 years young. Even though we acquired the IBM division, we together collectively as a company, right, we're over 140 years old when you combine those two corporations together. I did put a few notes down just so I could have the total numbers. Globally, we're about 3,000 strong globally as a company. In Americas, we're about 2,000 strong. US here, we have 1,500 employees, and right here in RTP, we have 500 in our office, and that's engineers, it's developers, it's our HR, it's our accounting. Everybody is here in Raleigh, North Carolina. But we also down the street have our Tri Center, which has our manufacturing for our self-checkout units, and that's about 150 strong, so about 100,000 square foot warehouse down the street. But I will say, we have a new CEO on board that came on board in November of 2020, and he really had a different perspective about the business. He is very channel focused. His name is Rance Polar. He's our president CEO, and he came in and we kind of took a new direction and really got down to what are Toshiba's core values. And I kind of wrote that down so I could make sure I hit every topic on that just briefly. But we are retail. And if we break that out, it's respect, empowerment, teamwork, adaptability, integrity, and leadership. And Rance is very big on empowering his employees. He wants us to be empowered. He wants us to listen to the voice of the customer, listen to our channel business partners, and bring that back to the business with what we need to do to grow our business and to support those retailers and our channel partners. And that's so important from, the outside looking in. But inside our company as a culture, we've also taken on some diversity and inclusion initiatives. So we have definitely some networking groups within the building. We have a group called Black, which is Black, Latina, African, African American, and Caribbean, which really takes on fostering those communities and forging those conversations. We have a Valor group for the veterans in the group, and I'm associated with that particular network. And that's veterans and allies providing leadership, opportunity, and relationships and really promoting veterans. And then lastly, we have a women's network, much like the RSPA that has the women's in technology. We do the same here. We do participate in educational technology and really build out the community for a safe, non-judgmental environment for women in technology. So from a culture standpoint, this really, I feel like for me, this is home for me. I feel very comfortable in my position as a female in technology. The position I am with my peers, we have a very close family network when it comes to my peers. But I also know I can walk down the hallway and speak and talk to the executives that I see, in the cafeteria. So culturally, I wouldn't work anyplace else. This is where I belong.
And you were gracious enough. You invited me up because I moved to Raleigh a few months ago, and so I got to visit. And I guess the vibe that I got, not just from talking to you, but walking through the building, talking to other folks, is like all those things you describe. You can see somebody saying, "Well, sure, a corporation is going to do that," but it really isn't integrated into the business. It really seemed like that was the backbone of the business, right? It wasn't just these committees just to say we have a committee. And I guess, am I understanding that correctly? It seemed like it was really ingrained into every
every corner of the business. You're going to see that culture of
single individual who.
Yeah, sorry, I think we had a little bit of a Wi-Fi connection glitch there, but yeah, you're right. We focus on bringing, our engineers are on the top floor. We have a 4-story building. Then you have development as well. We took you on that tour. We're very passionate about bringing the teams together, including our Tri Center that's down the street. Even though they're down the street, we come together a couple times a year and have a barbecue on the back lawn, and really just bring all those groups together, because the more we can visit and associate and collaborate together on a personal aspect, it makes it much easier day to day from a business standpoint as well. You feel very comfortable reaching out to those people when you need assistance and guidance.
Great, thank you. Travis, talk about DCR. I'm guessing slightly fewer than 3,000 employees.
Yeah, just a few less. So we are actually probably a moderately sized VAR reseller at about 50 people across really 4 divisions. So there's the grocery retail division, there's a hospitality division, there's on-site field services, and then there's sales. Direct reports, I only have about 7 that are in the hospitality department. And it's a real family business. So a set of brothers sold the business to a set of brothers, was their nephew and son, So it's it's a family. It's always been based around the family, and now the two son-in-laws are really some of the faces of the business. So um, we get to the opportunity to be with our owners every day. So in the office, and we're in a little of a hybrid sort of work environment. Um, I don't go a day without speaking to one or both of the owners of the company, which most folks can't say. Um, I don't know that I could ever go to a big corporation because I'm just not used to the bureaucracy or kind of the corporate minutia that you have to deal with. Like there's just some things that are handled much easier in a small family business. Um, and that's kind of that's sort of the culture that we have. So we don't have a massive diversity because we don't have a massive amount of people, things like that. But we do have a diverse work group, lots of people from lots of backgrounds, lots of people with different education levels, from different parts of the world, and they have a lot of different ideas, which is great. I mean, that's the most important part of having that company culture. It's a lot of different ideas coming in that funnel together to make one path of growth.
Got
So
it. Thank you for
that's
that. And
our
so,
small
and
group.
then Travis, can you expand upon how, like, there's clearly, your stories, your story and Laura's stories are obviously have differences, but there's a lot of, at the end results, right? There's some similarities with that. Like I saw you both, work to better yourself, right? You took a big shot at doing that. You both had people who, encouraged you and said, you can be more, you can be better than where you are right now. Can you talk about first, Travis, from a DCR standpoint? How have they created a culture that encourages employees to grow, and how do they balance focusing on productivity, like take care of the customers, while also
Mhm.
helping you expand your knowledge and skills? So talk about how DCR does it, and then we'll ask Laura how Toshiba does it.
So first, there's really no relevant experience to the job, and most of the folks who are in the ISV or the VAR community will understand that when you hire people, you hire the person rather than hiring a skill set. So it everybody that I've ever hired and everybody who's been hired around me has had that same shot taken on them, right? I'm giving you an opportunity to grow and learn this business because I mean, there's probably 1,000 people in the world who have absolute relevant experience. So we have folks with in history education, but the way that they develop us is to push us to be involved in professional organizations like the RSPA, to do more with education. So take classes on your own, get really involved into the LMS, to a learning management system, and then just to have somebody at the top leading by example. So seeing many of the guys go back and finish degrees, seeing many of the guys go and get certifications that won't necessarily help them in their day-to-day job, but just to promote that uh, is important, and that fun, that's the most important thing, not whether you've been, run network. Are you representative of DCR?
I grew up with Business Solutions Magazine was changed to publish it, which was by two others, like you had,
Mhm.
and they were, and we can teach them the skills later. I'll never forget us And at the end of the presentation, we hire them or not, and they out of the room. Hey, can they like? I guess we'll find out. Like, and we've got a training program, and it was like we
Yep.
went to that extreme degree in order to find out. Now, I will say we did end up adding a writing test to make sure. It really starts foundational with really reaches the culture rather than just what it says you're supposed to do. It's really by those actions. So, Lora, talk about from a Toshiba standpoint, how have you been encouraged to grow, and talk about the balance of building your skills while at the same time getting stuff done.
Yeah, well, I think Travis kind of nailed it, right? It really is a hands-on type business, depending on where you're starting from, right? If you're in marketing, you do have to come in and you still have to learn the business. This is a unique business that we're in. We're servicing others. From my perspective, right, I'm enabling my partners to sell my hardware. When I started out in the family business, I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew is cash registers, right? I give the money to the person across the counter. She puts it in the cash drawer. But from inside the business, you really have to learn, it's that sales 101, their pain points. What do they need? How can you serve them? But Travis is right. This is very much a hands-on business, and you have to know your skill set. I believe that all of us we have a little bit of sales in all of us. We have a little bit of technical in all of us. We have a little bit of marketing in all of us. And what is your forte? Mine happens to be talking. So I love promoting. I love, learning more. I often say that I'm technically challenged, but I also know enough to make me dangerous that I have to lean on my team. So, we have all hands calls every month that we bring the whole company together. Twice a year, we do a sales team meeting, and we bring in our technical teams and our product teams, and we learn what's coming down, the pike in the future. But I think most of all, what's really important internally is we do an individual development plan, and that is really focusing on ourselves. So it's kind of that SWOT, right? What's our strength? What's our weaknesses? Where do we need to learn? What do we need to learn? How do we learn? And it's really taking that honest inside look at yourself of where can I grow?
And
So
can I just ask, is that like a form that you fill out, or is it a conversation with your manager? Like, can you give us a picture of exactly what that is?
it very much is a go in our portal and fill it out on yourself, right? And it's questions on, where do you see yourself in a year? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are your strengths? How do you work with your teammates? What can you offer as mentorship? We do that individually, and then we have a review later with our manager for our performance reviews, right? So, but if you don't look at yourself and always, I feel like there's always something we can learn. There's always something we can share with somebody. It's how you accept that. When I see somebody that says something or doesn't have something accurate when we're doing a presentation, and a lot of times we prep for our presentations, it's that constructive criticism that you always have to take. So, RSPA is a prime example. We have the breakout sessions there. NRF has breakout sessions. It's those sessions that you sit in on and you learn more, that you take back to your company and ask, can we have a class on this? Can you bring a speaker in? And I think it comes down to asking, right? We always have to ask and we always have to look. I know there are several courses for the RSPA and Accelerate that you can take as well. And we have internal courses that we can take on our products here for us to have that knowledge base, for us to go share that with our partners.
Sometimes vendors go to the event and they just go to the trade show floor, and then they're like, well, the breakout sessions, those are for the VARs or for the ISVs. But it's such a great place to learn what's going on with the VARs and the ISVs and maybe meet some of those folks. So I don't know if you want to say an amen to that, Lora, but like it always slays me that, the vendors decide that that's not for them. I'm not saying all vendors, but the vast majority of them, the individuals do not go to those education sessions. So if you, I guess, if any words you can say to encourage vendors to attend those breakouts.
I make every attempt to get to a breakout, and a lot of times our team we'll split up, right, and take several of the classes because we're all interested in many of them, but we try to split up a little bit so that we can take in all the courses and, and the breakout sessions that are there and offered. And sometimes we can't because there's something in the booth. There's a little bit of a fire we have to put out at the booth or whatever that may be. But yes, there is always something that we walk away from at those events and those breakout sessions. They're very valuable from every standpoint of our business.
Got it. Great. Thank you for that. So we're going to take a quick pause here to let our listeners and viewers know an RSPA membership has never been more valuable or affordable. Annual memberships for VARs start at just $250 a year. That's only 68 cents a day. I do have to say, as an aside, Laura, I was thinking maybe I could skip this so we can get to the membership committee on time. But I'm thinking the membership committee would not be happy if I didn't plug membership and sacrificed it. So got to do it. So, all right. So for just 68 cents a day, you get dozens of high value services, including access to a legal advisor, a security advisor, and access to leading retail IT VAR executives. You also have exclusive e-learning programs through the RSPA Academy Accelerate and a college scholarship program for the families of RSPA members. Vendors and software developers benefit from RSPA membership as well through introductions of VAR and ISV members and by showcasing their solutions through the exclusive RSPA Solution Center and at the summer trade show Retail Now. Accelerate your success by joining the RSPA today. Also, we want to thank our sponsors who support the RSPA and make the community and this podcast and video series possible. Our platinum sponsors, Blue Star. Our gold sponsors are Brother, Cocard, Heartland, ScanSource, and Shift4. To receive the benefits of an RSPA membership or RSPA sponsorship, email membership@gorspa.org. That's membership@gorspa.org. All right, I won't get in the doghouse with the membership committee. All right, Travis, can you take this next one? We have a few minutes left. We do want to talk and keep diving deeper into this. You guys have provided great information so far. Can you talk about the importance of a mindset that focuses on serving others versus helping yourself to move up the ladder, right? Like people have heard, they've heard up to this point where you started, how you've moved up through the organization, Lora, where she started, how she moved up. But really, you guys have done that through helping other people, and you've kind of stressed that already. But it's kind of counterintuitive, right? To move ahead, you have to put others first. Travis, can you take that one first?
So I believe very much that you get out of this world what you put into it. So you reap what you sow, right? And that servant leadership it goes beyond what it means to me is that you help others even if it hurts yourself. So just a quick example was I had a young man who'd worked with us for a number of years and was absolutely experiencing super burnout, needed to make a change, needed to do something different. That opportunity was not there for him at DCR. And rather than, being selfish enough to say, hey, what can we do to keep you? I helped him write his resume for a new job. That really hurts us. It does, because he was a valuable member. But I would rather have someone happy, mentally healthy, and who loves to come to work for DCR instead of somebody who's just burnt out from doing the same thing for a decade or 2 decades or however long it might be. The other thing really is, just if you work together as a team. So when you work with somebody on a team and something goes sideways, the minute that you do that you blame or deflect anything, that starts to put up walls between yourself and the people that you work with and the people that you're entrusting to be the face of your organization. So it's very important as a leader to take all of the criticism and all of the blame and accept none of the credit. So that's the most important advice that I could give anybody in the world. If you want to be a leader, take all of the blame and give all of the credit.
Yep. Yep. Well said. And I'm going to look on my bookshelf behind me. Yeah, I have to move my own book because it was blocking. There's a book called Multipliers. I don't know if anybody's ever read, any of our listeners have ever read that book, but it's by Liz Wiseman. And it talks about what you mentioned, Travis, where, and it was really eye-opening to me. It's not just how you advance people inside your own organization. Sometimes it's advancing them to a different organization. And that's really what the top managers do, is they don't cap the potential growth of a person. Now, we're not encouraging everybody to leave an organization,
No.
right? Obviously, Travis and Lora found success inside of theirs, but that was really eye-opening to me in terms of, are you helping the person to help that person, or are you helping them as far as it's going to benefit you? And it gives, a lot of examples of managers who went on. And it is kind of funny. The story that I mentioned earlier about the writer who we hired, can he write? We were like, I don't know, but he's a good person. That person now partnered with another one of our writers and launched their own content business, and they're doing very well today. And I can say that's more gratifying than seeing them just, do well inside of the organization. So again, if anybody's thinking, I don't agree with Travis, well, Liz Wiseman and Multipliers have something to say about a book I strongly recommend. So Lora, do you want to build on that? Anything you want to add in terms of that mindset of focusing on others first?
Well, from a vendor standpoint, right, we're not often seen. So we're the enabler. We are the ones that are evangelizing our partner channel. So we're often in the background supporting that partner, either from a sales perspective, marketing perspective, just, offering them the assistance that we can from a sales point of view. Sometimes we're selling with the partners, and sometimes we're on on the same calls, in the same office with those retailers, selling side by side, representing Toshiba, but going in as their strategic partner to support that channel partner. So sometimes we're often in the background and we're not part of that success until we hear, yay, I'm sending you the PO. Other times we're right there when the PO is handed over. Hey, you guys, you nailed it. Let's do this. So, it's a high and a low, because sometimes you're waiting and sometimes you've won the opportunity, and there's other times that you're just right there when it happens. But from a mentor standpoint, we kind of hire new people. We have new people that come in and kind of go. We decided about 2 years ago that we were going to grow our Canadian team. When we did that, that meant Lora was going to lose her Canadian retailers. I was going to lose my Canadian partners. I'm half Canadian. So, that kind of like you're taking
But
my
you didn't.
family.
He didn't lose that, right? You at least
Right. I
got to
didn't lose
retain that.
that.
Okay, good.
I'm not going to tell you which half, but yeah, so you kind of felt like, wait, I've spent almost 2.5 years building up these relationships with these retailers and building up, those relationships with those Canadian partners that I've known for years. I've known them probably as long as I've been in the business. But, you also have to take a little bit of pride that you're sharing what you know with that person that's taken over that position. And they're going to be they can only be successful if you set them up to success. We don't want to set them up to fail, and we don't want to be that person that is going to, not share every bit of knowledge. I mean, I can share so much with these new hires that they're just overload, and they walk away thinking, oh my gosh, if this is what this job is going to be, I can't do it. Well, you're not going to be able to do it in one day. Like we said earlier, this is a very much a hands-on position. And for you to step into this, business, then you need to come in with an open, fresh mind. And that's what we're here for, is to share with everybody that either joins RSPA, the new attendees, those next generations that's coming up. And I think that's a big part of what we're doing is sharing with them on how they can grow in this industry.
And Laura, can I ask you if I can dive a little bit deeper? And I feel like when I was in Erie, I worked down the hallway from a psychotherapist, and so I'm channeling that psychotherapist asked this question. You're probably getting really nervous at this now, but when you were giving up your Canadians, my guess is your initial reaction wasn't like, great. Like there was probably some element of, Well, this stinks, and I wish I didn't have to do that. Can you talk about how you then overcome that? Because again, folks who have servant leadership, like Travis said, it's not that they're like not humans, right? We all have our human feelings, but then you end up saying, okay, I have to sacrifice this. Can you talk about wrestling with those feelings, or am I just assuming you had those feelings?
Of course, I had those feelings. I'm human. You're right, because I was like, hey, wait a minute. I just spent 2.5 years through COVID of building these retailers up, building these, resellers and the partner channel community up, and really getting to know them. I had a lot of resistance as well too, because I was not in Canada and I was in the US. My only little bit of, I guess, salvation there was, I've known so many of them from many years of RSPA, right? So we had that connection already. Um, it was difficult to turn them over. It really was. I mean, I'm still in that mentoring stage where with the retailers, right? They joined right in the middle of a rollout about to happen. So I'm still on, weekly calls with them, making sure that number one priority is the customer is taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's the same priority I had with turning over my, the retailers or not retailers, the resellers. And I say
Yeah.
mine because they all are
Yeah.
our business, right? If I go to Nashville, I know right now that my peer, Paul Barry, will not mind me walking in a data cash register, right? If I say, hey, Paul, I'm going to be in Nashville, I'm going to stop in and say hi to Travis. He's like, sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we have such a tight network in our channel sales team that, to me, it was setting our team up for more success because if we do ever shut down again, I can't cross the border. And it was a rude awakening,
Yeah.
even though we were able to manage through all of that. It's very, it's very positive for me knowing that we are investing in Canada to have that team in place. They can just drive down the street and say hello, knock on their door, sit with them and collaborate. And since then, they have been growing the business there. So it's very
Yeah.
positive and I'm very happy with it. And I'm kind of like that proud parent of, yay,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're doing good. Keep going.
Yeah.
So,
Eh,
and I do kind of hang on a little bit because I do look forward to those weekly calls still to connect with them because there's still that business relationship. But through those 2.5 years, you personally get to know these people. So yeah, but that's
Yeah. I'll
not
just
in
say,
my nature not to support somebody.
well, I'll say a few comments on that. You went to like, what was the goal of this whole thing? It's not just for me to keep these people forever. How are they going to be best served? What's going to be best for them and the organization? And sometimes that means you have to play a different role. I'll also say for both of you guys, we mentioned at the outset, you both got elected to the board of directors. You both there were three. The top vote getters got 3-year terms, and you guys were two of the three who got 3-year terms. All three folks who got the 3-year terms all volunteered at Retail Now to sacrifice their time to collect for the scholarship program. You're not going to benefit directly from the scholarship program, right? But you were doing that out of the goodness of your heart. And so I've always said, I don't know if that was causation or correlation or karma, but either way, like you guys, I don't know. But I guess if anybody else who wants to run for the board in the future, volunteer from the scholarship program. But again, you guys weren't asking for that. I'll also say really quickly. So one story this kind of reminds me of is at Jameson, and this ties in with company culture. We had a deal where we had a company lunch that we would go out to. It was Haas's restaurant. If it was your birthday or your anniversary, we bought your lunch. Well, then we started doing in the summer. People said, "How about we have a picnic?" And we said, "Great." And we had everybody like pick an item, to bring. Well, we needed everybody to bring some sort of an item, even the people who had anniversaries or birthdays. And one person came up to me and said, "I am not going to participate in this because my birthday is in July, and you're making me spend money instead of buying me lunch." And I had to say to them, like, it's 99 cents for a bottle of ketchup, right? Like, why are you putting this in front of, like, I couldn't wrap my brain around that. And that person eventually did not work out for the company. But it's just one of those things of like, in all things big and small, think about other folks. Don't put yourself first. So I'll never forget, like, couldn't believe it. Like, ketchup's 99. A bottle of mustard 79 cents, back at that time. Like, why don't you do that? But some people don't. So you gotta have that mindset. So, all right, we've got just a few minutes left. I want to get to these last two questions. Travis, if you can start with this. We said at the outset of our conversation, the path to leadership's never easy. Can you talk about the lowest point of your career and then what you learned from it and how it shaped you? And I apologize for having you do that as quickly as possible, but if you could, that'd be great.
It's okay. So, um, lowest point in my career was really right before COVID shutdowns. Our building was struck by a tornado in Nashville. Um, it disabled us from our customers. We weren't able to contact our clients or use remote access tools or any of the stuff that we always have done. But that really wasn't the part that was the lowest in my career, because we got the phone systems up the same day. We were communicating with each other and with our clients within hours. The value that I thought that I brought the company was that of expert, so of expertise. So I thought that I was in my position because I was the best at it. And it was almost like manic behavior. Somebody would take a phone call in the office. I'm listening. I'm fixing it behind them. Okay. So that they're off the phone right away. And now you're taking that away from me. So the thing that I feel like is giving me the power and the position that I was in, I no longer have. So I have to go back and reconfigure the value that I bring to the company. And that really took me the better part of a year, through training processes and things that I've had to develop, and the way that I've had to develop personally. So I've had to change a lot of my leadership tactics and also trust my team that they are doing the things that they're supposed to do, and being that great representative. So a lot of personal growth had to come out of that. A lot of letting go, and letting my team fail, not being just so afraid that they would fail. And
or
now,
not do it your way, right? That's
not,
part of it.
and that autonomy is now part of what I sell when I'm doing an interview. It's part of the sales pitch to come and work for DCRs. Hey, you're not going to be me. You're going to be you, and you do it the best that you can. And as long as those align with the values and the principles that we have here at Data, then everything's going to be great, and you're going to be a great addition to the team. And the great thing, ultimately, it just took a while to kind of grow out of.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate you sharing that. Lora, talk about the low point of your career.
Yeah, I thought about this quite a bit. Was probably I could nail it down to the day. It would be June 7th of 2012. And the reason I say that is a year prior to that, we had reduced our company size at Toshiba Tech America. We went down from about 170 something in staff to probably about 90 or so. And then we reduced that again because we joined our Toshiba copier division in California. And we joined forces for warehouse, HR, accounting. So it left us with probably about 12 of the original people or so, but maybe 15 left between Atlanta and California. And it was really a low point because we were like, what is going on, right? Why is technical and product people and sales still left? Why is everybody else's, we've been split up. But in June, we found out, hey, we're acquiring this other big company. We're going to be one big Toshiba happy family. And it was almost like they ripped the carpet out from underneath me, because all of a sudden I felt like I don't know what's going on in my own business. I don't know what's going on. I felt very isolated. I felt like I was on an island by myself. I remember calling one of our executives and saying, I really need to talk to you. And I remember standing outside the building literally in tears, and telling this person that I'm leaving the company because I don't know what path we're going on. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going to fit. I don't think I'm going to be a fit. And this person from California spent an hour with me on the phone and said, "You have a position in this company. You are going to be okay. You are going to be a leader. You are going to be an asset. You are going to carry this forward." And I didn't believe him. I still felt very alone, because I was the only sales rep in Atlanta at the time. I was still supporting Family Dollar, still the business development person for Blue Star at the time, and still just didn't know, right? But it was just that point of my career that I'm thinking, I've got to go put my resume out. I had built my resume. I was getting ready to send it out to other places. And without asking, though, where do I fit and where am I going to be in a year from now, I was just going to leave. I wasn't going to ask the question. But I remember standing outside that building, crying with tissues in my hand, probably runny nose. It probably was an ugly cry. But here I am, 12 years later with the new big company, Toshiba Global Commerce Solutions, and loving every day that I'm here. And he was right. I do enjoy what I do. So it was a very, very difficult period for sure.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, both of you, for sharing the stories that you did today. This is what I was hoping for, when we set this up, because I know you both are, really transparent in terms of the way that you talk and the way that you communicate and share your story. So if there's a meta lesson for some of the younger folks, I know we have a lot of up and coming leaders listening to this. The path to get to leadership, it's long and winding, has a lot of bumps along the way, but boy, is it rewarding when you do get there. And even when you get there, there's still going to be some bumps, but it's definitely worth the journey. So, well,
Sometimes
thank
the
you very much.
obstacle, yeah, sometimes the obstacle is the way. Sometimes what
Yes,
you think is
yes,
holding you back really is what's going to excel you forward.
yes. Thank you for that. And I'll close this. I'm going to be super fast, so Laura and I can make sure we get to the membership committee on time. So that does it for this episode of The Trusted Advisor, and we hope you enjoyed our discussion. We'd appreciate it if you'd rate us where you find your favorite podcast. My personal philosophy is the more stars, the better. If you want to learn more best practices for VARs and ISVs in the technology industry, go to the RSPA website at gorspa.org. Before we go, thanks again to Lora and Travis for sharing their wisdom with us today. Thanks also to RSPA Marketing Director Chris Arnold for his production work, Joseph McDade for our music, and last but not least, thanks so much for you for listening. Our goal at the RSPA is to accelerate the success of our members in the retail technology ecosystem by providing knowledge and connections. For more information, visit our website at gorspa.org. Thanks for listening, and goodbye, everybody.